Hey, Libby, here we are.
Hey there. Hello, everyone. We're so glad to have you with us.
Yes, we are. So nice to see you, Libby, and to see everybody
Yes.
here. Yeah, so if you're jumping in on this in a little bit, or if you're just coming across this for the first time, as you might be able to see on your screen, my name is Linda Downey. I am a transformational health and spiritual coach with a focus really on health and wellness, but I work with women really to help them move away from patterns of stress and anxiety, whether it's in their relationships, whether it's showing up in their physical health, and help them complete, a painful past so that they can have a life that they love. And this is my dear friend and colleague, Libby. And Libby will tell you a little bit about her, and then we're going to rock and roll on this, I think, timely topic.
Yes. Well, sorry, I've got a little laryngitis today. We're gonna work through this. So my name is Libby Wright, and I work with physicians who want to transition from traditional medicine to a more functional medicine approach. I also work with patients who have had chronic illness for a very long time, and a lot of doctors have told them there's no hope or this is just the way it is forever, and just you need to just go accept it and move on. And so we're all about just changing the frame, changing the paradigm, and recognizing that just because someone says something to you doesn't mean that's the way it always has to be. And that's really a large part of what we're going to be talking about today. Because very often people will pronounce things over us that may or may not be true. They may be doing it with the best intentions. And it may also create a script in our brain about how things are or
Mhm.
should be, or the lens in which we view the world.
Yeah.
And so, what I thought would be a really interesting thing to talk about, and I've been teaching on this throughout the day today, is really decluttering our emotional state before the holidays, before 2025. This is really a lot of people, January 1st, a lot of us view this as a fresh start, or maybe your Chinese New Year, whatever it is. We're getting to that time where we want to think about what do we want to bring into the new year? What habits, beliefs, understandings of the world do we want to bring in? Because a lot of times we have these beliefs, these tapes playing in our head, for lack of a better way to say it, the soundtrack of our lives that was really, maybe it was given to us, maybe it's generational, maybe it's genetic and it's 5 generations back and we don't even know why. Maybe it's something a parent said, a teacher said, a spouse said, whatever, a coworker. It could be anyone. It could be your kid. And somehow your brain, your emotions, your body latches onto that as a truth, and
Mm.
it becomes your truth. It becomes your, now I'm not talking about moral truth. I'm not talking about a moral compass. I'm talking about like when the doctor said, you may not survive Lyme, go get your affairs in order. Now, when I was told that, I had been told a lot of other really horrible diagnoses before, and I was like, oh, watch me. I'm going to do great. Because that was my frame. But I see so many people with chronic illness and serious illness, they're pronounced something like this by a doctor, and it isn't always illness. It can be emotional states. It can be, you're a loser, nobody's ever going to love you. It could be in any realm. I mainly deal in the health realm, so that's my example. But for many people it'd be like, oh well, the doctor, the expert says I'm probably not going to survive, so I probably better get ready to die. um, and so the way we choose to frame things is really important to us. And oftentimes we don't examine it. It is so ingrained with us, it is so subconscious that we don't even know that that's our belief system that we're operating under.
Yeah.
Have you experienced that, Linda?
100%. You know what I was thinking of when you said that about your experience from your doctor. Well, two things came to mind. The first one was my daughter. I remember as an infant, one of the doctors. She was in the hospital most of her life, and she had open heart surgery on the night that she was born. And after that, some weeks after that, one of the doctors said, she's never going to do this. She's never going to do this. She's never going to do this, which was devastating.
Mhm.
And I really have to give my husband at the time his props because he talked me off the ledge because I was like, oh my God, the doctor said this. And he was like, the true doctor is God. God has the final word. We don't know. And then what was wonderful was there was a physical therapist, a world-renowned physical therapist who worked in children's hospitals all over the country. And he said, listen, we have no idea when an infant is so young what the brain will do, how she will figure out how to adapt to life. And if we had lived into, which a lot of parents would have, this is
Yeah.
what the doctor said, which means no expectation for her to do more, no setting a bar that we think she can't reach. And if you do that, then you keep yourself boxed in. So that's what
Yeah.
I was thinking of when you were saying that. And then my own health journey as well.
Yeah.
But let's dive in. And I just want to say, because I'm seeing people, somebody hit a like sign, I'm seeing people tuning in. Please say hello. Please say where you're from. This is streaming in multiple places. So we would love to know who you are. And we'd also love to know any comments or thoughts that you have. And if we don't see them in the moment, we'll definitely get back to you.
Yes, wonderful. And so I think as we're diving into this and really thinking about it, what we want to think about is as we have these thoughts floating through our minds throughout the day, do we notice any patterns? Do we notice, I seem to say that every day. Well, that's kind of my catchphrase, or that's what I say to myself when I feel frustrated, overwhelmed. So for me, for a long time, even though I said I'm not gonna choose to believe what these people are pronouncing over me, I did have my own version of things because I felt very frustrated with my body at the time. And so I would say, well, I have the aspirations of a Formula One race car and my body is a Model T. And I used to kind of say it as a joke, it's kind of funny, like, well, I want to do all this stuff. I really can't. But it kind of became a mantra for me. It kind of became my excuse. Well, I'm not being all it was like I couldn't just it wasn't okay to just love and accept myself as I was in that moment, fighting for my life. I had to make an excuse. I had to make an exception. I had to make a reason why I was okay. And as I really started thinking about that, I was like, I probably shouldn't be saying this. But when we say these things, I would say 99.9% of the time, I'm sure there's probably some exception out there somewhere. We There has to be something in it for us to keep saying that phrase, to keep believing that thought, to keep entertaining that idea. So what was in it for me in that scenario? Any thoughts?
Yes. Yeah. And I want to invite people right now to start to look at yourself. What Libby said, the same thoughts, what patterns are there? I don't know that I'll have the numbers exactly right, but roughly we think about 70,000 thoughts per day. And 95% of those are the same every single day. So 5% of 70,000 is something new and original to that day. Probably things like, what am I going to make for dinner tonight? Because that's specific to that day. But 95% of 70,000 thoughts, give or take, whatever the exact number is the same thing over and over. So it might be, this is so overwhelming. I'm so overwhelmed. I can't do another thing. So I forgot the question that you asked
Well, I was
me.
just asking, one of the things we can ask ourselves, and I was just curious what I'm giving you a little pop quiz, Linda. When I'm saying to myself, and I'm laying there sick in bed, I can't walk, can't really feel my legs, not sure, the doctors are like, we're not sure you're going to live. And um, I'm fighting for my life. And yet I still feel the need to say to others, I have the aspirations of a Formula One race car, and yet I have the body of a Model T. What was in it for me to say those words? What do you
Well,
think?
I think it's a way of letting yourself off the hook.
Mhm.
It's a way of not being responsible, like, um, no, I'm not going to have it go that way. Like I am, who I am is I'm well.
Mhm.
So it's a way to let yourself off the hook and give over your responsibility for your life to somebody else who's more in authority than you are.
Mhm. Mhm.
it's also a way to, just make yourself feel better and focus on what you can't do. Like,
Mhm.
you're not getting up and doing all these other things that you'd like to do. Let me focus on that I can't do that. And so I'll feel better that I'm staying here.
Yeah. And a lot of it for me too was just like, okay, it was just totally letting myself off the hook. Like I felt that I should be performing at a higher level. As crazy as it sounds, right? I'm literally laying there fighting for my life and I'm like, well, I didn't make homemade dinner tonight. Who cares? I'm
Right.
still alive. Like, but I couldn't see that. All I
Right.
could see was what I wasn't doing, what I couldn't do, how I wasn't performing.
Right.
And so there was something in it for me, or I wouldn't entertain that idea. Now, if I said that to myself now, I'd be like, Libby, what planet are you from? Come on. Like you you are alive, you're breathing, you're fighting this disease. That's enough. You don't need to do something more to be valuable, to love yourself, for others to love you. But at the time, I felt that I needed to perform. And so I you know, that was what it was in it for me. And then And then there was a lot of emotion behind that too, right?
Yeah.
Because whenever we say these things, we're self-protecting, right?
100%. Right. There's something we're avoiding, something that we're avoiding, trying not to
Mhm.
feel, something that we've shoved down. So I want to pull this a little bit into like what we said the topic for tonight was decluttering emotions before the holidays.
Mhm.
Put in there for the description was how this time of year, whether you celebrate Christmas or you celebrate Hanukkah, or just that it's the end of the year and a new year is starting, like Libby
Mhm.
talked about, but a whole host of emotions can come up, and they're coming up, and to the conversation that we've had so far, they're coming up according to the patterns of thoughts that you've been having. Like, it's got to look this way at Christmas. I've got to have this for my kids. I've got to make sure I take care of all this for the extended family. I've got to host the dinner. Whatever are the things that you're thinking, and then I'm going to have, am I going to have enough time? Is it going to be good enough? Is my mother-in-law going to criticize me? Like all of the things. So I
Mhm.
want to pull it specifically to this time of year,
Yes. Love
uh,
it.
because that's what, kind of like what we were thinking about. And so
Yeah.
those emotions that are coming up, and it's not only things around what you're doing, but there's
Mhm.
also emotions around, sometimes there's a lot of joy, sometimes there's a lot of excitement, sometimes there's resentment,
Yes.
sometimes there's sadness and grief. So this particular kind of time of year can be like a microscope where you can really see all
Yes.
of the things that are under there. And a lot of them we try to shove down.
Yes. And that's where these phrases really come from. And so, let's go to another example. My family always really, really loved decorating for Christmas. It was a really big deal in our family. Like it was the best time of the year. And I've been dealing with I've got some funky voice things because I've been dealing with walking pneumonia. And I kept saying, "No, I don't want to decorate. No, I don't want to decorate," because in my brainstem was like, "You're gonna like you cannot do all these things that mean decorate for Christmas."
Right.
And finally, I just sat myself down and I'm like, "Well, what? Who says? Who says it has to look like that?" Like my kids just want to get the tree up and like we don't have to make it this big thing. So they had some friends over last night. I made some soup and I literally sat on the couch and let them drag everything from the attic, let them put everything up, let it be the way they wanted it to be. And then they put all the things back in the attic and my house was as clean as before. And I was like, what just happened here? It's like a Christmas miracle. But I had
um,
attached all these meanings to what decorating meant or what
right.
decorating should be. And that's a silly example, but we do this all the time. We make these meanings, we have these phrases. Well, I can't decorate for Christmas because I don't have the time. Well, okay, well, maybe you can't do it the way you normally would, but does that mean you can't do it at all? I mean, the whole thing took an hour. We watched Elf, we ate cookies, we were happy. It was fine, you know? I mean, they didn't care.
Right.
They were probably happier because I wasn't sitting there trying to micromanage everything.
Right.
So oftentimes we have all this clutter in our head of how it should be. And that's really what I'm talking about with these phrases, because we have those things in there for a reason and they take up this space, and we get to decide, okay, that served us for a certain period of time. Is this still what is this still serving me?
Yeah. Yeah, really, what I heard in what you just said, Libby, is making a choice. What do I want to feel? What do I want to be thinking and focusing on? And therefore, what do I want to feel? And sometimes there's emotions there waiting to be felt. Like, for example, with somebody that I work with who has lost her dad in the past year. This will be the first holiday season without him. And having lost a child, I know the feeling of that first holiday when
Mhm.
somebody's not there. Not that every other year gets great necessarily, but that first one is so different and so new. So there's those feelings there. But if you're cluttered with, uh, it's been months since they passed. People don't need me to be dealing with this right now. Keep a stiff upper lip. Just push through. All of those things. We clutter ourselves with all of the things that we're telling ourselves. So if we can weed that out, what's really there to be felt?
Mhm.
What do we want to feel? So maybe you haven't had a loss, but you just often feel overwhelmed, or you take on all of the things for everybody, and doing everything, doing all the shopping, right? For all of your spouse's family, all of your family, all the kids. So what can be pulled out? And you just have a story that it won't be okay if you actually put it down. If you put it down and say to someone else, I can't do that this year.
Mhm.
And how do you want to feel? Who do you want to be when you are actually going through the holidays? Who do you want to be? Do you want to be joyful and relaxed? Well, if you want to be joyful and relaxed, what would it take to be that?
Mhm.
Choose who you want to be. It's a choice. And then choose and decide what would it take to be that. And
Yes.
then go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. Finish up.
I was just going to say, and then the emotions can come along with it. And I think one of the things that my clients really love when we do this work around emotions is realizing that you can decide your emotions. You can choose. A lot of people think emotions come over me. I don't have a choice. I don't know when I'm going to stop being angry. I don't know. You know what? I'm angry and I'm going to be angry. Who knows how long it's going to take? I don't know when I'm going to be ready to forgive you. And that's deciding that the emotion is bigger than you, but it's not. There's you, and then there's the emotions that you have. And I'm not saying don't feel them, but I am saying you get to choose how long you stay in them. If you want to set up camp there, you can set up camp. But you can also choose, like, I've been angry long enough. I've been overwhelmed long enough. I've been resentful long enough. And now who I want to be is peaceful. I want to be joyful. I want to be whatever. Fill that in for yourself.
Mhm. I love that. And when I'm talking with clients, I'll often say, when we go through these difficult periods, when we're feeling things that are hard to feel, think about it like this. If you're driving down the road, when you need to go feel a big emotion, a heavy emotion, maybe not pleasant emotion, you're taking an exit and you're going to the rest stop.
Oh, I like that.
Now, how many of you have built a house at your rest stop? Did you set up camp? Did you, build make pour yourself a driveway and a foundation? Did you build a stick-built house? Did you put a camper there? Did you say, "Wow, wow, I've arrived"? No, of course not. Nobody would do that. That'd be ridiculous, right? But oftentimes that's what we think. We think that's the power emotion has over us, that this is now where we dwell. It's not where we dwell. It's a rest area. It's a place we need to stop and relieve ourselves of a burden. And it's a good way to just think about it so that we don't get stuck thinking this is where we now have to live. This is now we where we dwell forever.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a That's a really good analogy. I'm always looking for analogies to help me understand something better, and that's a
Yeah,
really good one because you can visualize it when I can visualize things. So,
exactly.
so I think a good exercise that you could do to help declutter is to sit down and make a list. What are the top 3 to 5 emotions that you find yourself in every day? If you just think about, just look at today. So, or look at yesterday. Yesterday was the weekend. Today is Monday. So maybe some things occur differently on the weekend than they do during the week. But what are the top 3 to 5 emotions? So when the alarm goes off in the morning, do you wake up into overwhelm? When you are getting ready to get out the door, whether you have kids or you're just doing yourself, or then you're out in traffic commuting, is it resentment? I don't want to just be negative or, pick the more depleting emotions. Maybe there's excitement when you wake up in the morning. That would be the goal, I think, to wake up into a day with excitement. Like, I'm living my life. Here's a day. I got my life to do today. I've got things that light me up. I'm making choices that feel good. If you're not waking up like that, in my opinion, there's something wrong. There's
Mhm.
something wrong because this is the only life you've got. So
Exactly.
so
And we're
you're
not promised tomorrow, right?
exactly, as you and I have just been talking about earlier. Um, so what are your 3 to 5 emotions? What are your 3 to 5 thoughts, common thoughts? I'm so overwhelmed. I wonder if I'm doing this right. Am I doing this right? Whether it's at work with your coworkers, whether it's cooking dinner for your family, some version of, am I doing this right? Do they actually like me? Am I fitting in? What would be the ones that have you feel the most stuck and holding patterns that keep you really in a mindset of stress and in a physical body and in emotions of depletion? So what is that for you? So take a minute or take 10 seconds and write those out and just see what comes to mind. Don't filter it, don't try to change it, but what's really there?
I love that. That's so great. And the great thing about all this, if you think about these thoughts, if you think about these emotions like a junk drawer, everybody has a junk drawer in their house, in their kitchen somewhere. We do at least. And
I have
a few,
2.
we- I probably have one in every room, honestly, because I'm busy, right? I got a lot going on. And it's funny because my husband is much neater than I am. And so a few times a year, to bless me, he will go through and he will clean out these junk drawers. And the interesting thing is, he's now gotten to the point with me where he will ask me, does this still serve us? Do we still need this? Some version of that. And I like to think about that with these thoughts and these emotions because all they are is habits, habits that can be replaced at any time. If the drawer is empty, I can put whatever I want in the drawer. And you know what? If this serves me because I'm having asthma, I'm keeping this. Now,
Mm,
there's going to be a day as I continue to heal that I can just toss that. I don't think about it anymore. Right now, it's useful to me. And so, as you're thinking about your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs, all these are habits that are baked in to the way we do our life. And if you think about dumping everything out of the junk drawer and just saying, does this still serve me? How
mm,
much longer do I want it in my drawer? How much longer do I really need it? When's the last time I used it? When's the last time that it actually helped me?
yeah.
So if we think about the thought of what if I'm not doing it good enough? Okay, is that serving you? Is that at some point it must have because you picked it up as a habit, but does it still? And then ask yourself these questions. And then the cool thing is you can replace habits anytime you want to. I used to wake up really, really grouchy in the mornings.
I don't believe that.
Oh, it's true. It is. Ask anyone in my family. It is true. I was the grouchiest person in the morning. And I just started thinking, this is not how I want to start my day. This isn't fun. And so I got, as silly as it sounds, I got a different alarm for my phone and it's a duck quacking and it makes me laugh every morning when I wake up. I don't know what I think it annoys the heck out of my husband, but I think it's hilarious. So I have a quacking duck in the morning. And then before my feet ever hit the floor, I'm like, God, thank you for this day. Thank you. The sun is shining. Thank you for this bed. I get that gratitude and get going. And then I can go have a great day. No matter what is happening in the day, I can have a great day.
Yeah.
And it's just a habit. It literally is just a habit. And if I can break it, anyone can. And I didn't break it, I replaced it. That's the thing. We can't break habits, we can replace them.
Yeah. What's so great about that, and we'll start to wrap it up in a minute, but what I was thinking of when Libby was saying that is, think about your morning routine. You do the same thing exactly the same way, right? Get up, whatever it is, go to the bathroom, get the coffee going. There's probably a system of who takes a shower when, and you just do the same thing. Like, I can't talk to anybody until I have my coffee. And all of that is just your body's trained. It's like an animal actually that has trained you to do things in a certain way because it's become the way that you're used to. And a really great tool to use to break those kinds of habits is to do what Libby just said, which is pull gratitude in. Pull gratitude in and start to focus on what's great. So if I don't have my coffee right now, what's great about this, or what can I be grateful for, is that
Coffee's on its way.
coffee's on his way. You could think of something. Yeah, I mean, because I used to be like, keep the lights low. I can't even talk to people. I have my coffee. It was all this thing that I bought into. I don't even
Hmm.
drink coffee now. If anybody watches my morning cups, there's like turmeric, ginger, lemon water in that mug, or there's cacao. If I want something that has a little more substance to it,
Hmm.
hot cacao, typically. So anyway, habits are just what your body is used to. It feels comfortable and familiar, and you can start to change pretty easily by making a list. What am I ready to let go of? And then also, what can I be grateful for before my feet even hit the ground in the morning? Like Libby said, you can just be like, I'm just really grateful for this bed. I don't want to get out of it right now because I love it so much. Thank you for this bed. But now I do want to get out of it because I've got a great day to go get started. And then before you go to sleep at night, I think it's a really great idea to review what happened during the day, but review it with an intention to feel good about it and to be grateful where you can, to look where you really stepped up and were who you decided you wanted to be, and where do you have some gaps still to fill so that tomorrow you can intend again differently.
I love it. Well, if this has resonated with you at all, Linda, get ready. You know it's coming.
I do, I have it.
All right, yay! I'm so proud. So, if this has resonated with you and you want to declutter your life and your emotions, and yet you also know that you need to have your hand held a little bit, this can be a painful and challenging process. We've talked a lot about a lot of different things that took us literally years, sometimes decades, to change. It's not something that can necessarily happen overnight, especially if we've dealt with trauma or a loss or really painful things. And so we're here to help you. We want to help you have the best year ever in 2025. We want to help you declutter your life and get rid of the things in that drawer that no longer serve you. And maybe you have set up a camp. Maybe you've set up maybe you have like a fort at the rest stop and like you are ready to defend your position, but you know that's not right and it's not what you want for the rest of your life. We're here to help you. We have some great tools and resources that we're happy to share with you. We also have a breakthrough call that we do that either Linda or I would do with you, and that is absolutely free of charge and our way to serve you and just really to share with you how we may be able to help you to move into 2025 confidently and joyfully because we get to do that every day and we want to see that in all the people that we touch, all the lives we touch. So Linda's going to drop a link in.
Okay.
And all right, yay! So she's so awesome.
I forget
We're
every time, you guys. I just want to say that's why we're making a big deal, because every time we're together,
see,
Libby's like,
new habits, new habits. She's doing it.
hold
Woo!
on,
Okay. So
remember.
She's adding the link in. Just feel free to grab a spot on our calendar, and you'll be speaking with either Linda or myself. And we'll get you. We'll have a great conversation about your life and the particulars of your situation. And if we can help you, we're going to share all the different ways we might be able to. And if not, we'll direct you to some other resources that might be better. But either way, it's a value to you. So that's it for me, unless you have anything else to add, Linda.
No, I think that was great. I think I hope that you started to see that there's something possible other than where you've been locked in and how you think and feel. And if you want to really experience your holidays slightly different, we just gave you a couple of ideas, but if you really want to, do it differently and you want more than just those couple of ideas, just click the link and get on a call with us. Like Libby said, it's free.
Yeah.
We would love to meet you anyway. So thank you. Please say hello in the comments.
Yes. Yes. All right. Well, have a great night, everyone. And I'm sure we'll talk soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Libby.